Welcome to Inside the Islanders. I'm George Matthews. With me, the general manager of the Charlottetown Islanders. And as we do this Inside the Islanders interview, the Islanders are at the quarter pole, having played 17 games of this Quebec Major Junior Hockey League season with a record of 9-7-1. And with that record of 2 games above 500 at the quarter pole, GM Grant Sonier, your thoughts on your hockey club?
Make it sound like we're in a horse race. I guess we are, George. When you come to it, we're in a horse race. All things considered, everything we've been through as an organization with a new coach, that's the one thing that's we have to talk a little bit about, the fact that there's a new coach here with change. There's always going to be some things that have to take some time to transpire, and as a result, I'm happy with the hockey club. You'd always like to have a better record than you have. I'm sure the Montreal Canadiens wanted to get the 10-0 and they didn't, and we're 9-7-1, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
And when you look at this record right now, and we'll break it down position by position here right now, your goaltending, you have to be more than pleased with right now. With goaltender Mason McDonald starting to round into shape here at this particular point, coming back from his NHL camp in Calgary. But for Mason McDonald being selected to be I would think, the number one goaltender, or would certainly battle for the honor, I do believe, of this upcoming Russia Quebec Major Junior Hockey League Series, he gets a start there. Matt Welsh as well, being chosen as one of the goaltenders for the Team Canada under 17. Both those goaltenders having some pretty good starts.
Well, all the good GMs and all the good coaches have one common denominator. They all have good goaltending, so I guess I'm a good GM. But in all seriousness, our goaltending is really been stellar. We're really happy to have Mason, Calgary pick, and lots of talk and hype about him with the Subway Series coming up, the Quebec-Russia Series, I guess it's called now, and certainly he's in the hunt for World Junior. And Matty Welsh, what can we say about him? He's come in here. He's 2 shutouts, almost a shutout in the Bay Como game for an underage. He's exceeded our expectations at this point. We knew he was good. We know he's got a chance to be a really good goaltender in our league, but he's been exceptional in his early stages here of his Quebec career.
Now, when it comes to the blue line, of course, as we talked about at the start of the season, a strength, and I guess that's the way you would call it, a strength, but as well, perhaps not necessarily a weakness, would be the inexperience of your blue line with as far as the number of 18-year-olds that you've got on your roster here right now. But they are continuing to develop, and that's a positive here. But when you look at a couple of those 18-year-olds, you got David Henley, Luke Duchesne as well. Both of those players offensively in the top 20 in the queue as far as defenseman scoring is concerned. They've played well.
They have. With Luke, we expect that. We didn't really expect the offensive outburst in David. Not to say that David's not valuable to our hockey club. I think they're different players. David brings a size, his presence, his physical play. He's off to Buffalo's camp, their rookie camp, and come back, and he realized he's got a lot of work to do, and he's grabbed the bull by the horns here, and he's really stepped his game up, and we're really happy about that. Him contributing offensively is a good thing for us. Luke Duchesne, we've always felt that there was an offensive side to his game. Certainly the big goal against the Bathurst to help us be able to overcome a deficit. He scores the tying goal and we win in overtime. So he's the two of them have put up some good numbers, but they're both playing solid hockey, and good defensemen that can contribute offensively are going to help your hockey club, but they're both playing solid defensively, which is what we need.
The other 5 defensemen, an overall assessment on how they're playing at this point in the season here.
Well, we said all along the 397s. You throw Will Thompson into the equation with Henley and Duchesne. They're the key. They're the core to our back end. Will has had a tough season so far with the broken nose. He had to play with a cage, and then he had to have the nose reset. That's hard for a defenseman. It affects his vision. But when he's on, he's a real quality defenseman for us. And then Dexter Weber, our overage defenseman, he's the anchor back there for these young kids. We said when we brought Ryan McKinnon in as an overage last year, it's not only just what he will do for us, but it's the learning that the younger kids will get from him. It's the same thing with Dexter Weber. He's got exceptional feet. He's got an exceptional head for the game. and I think his game is spilling over into Luke Duchesne, into Will Thompson, into David Henley. Then to round out our defense, you've got Andrew Smith, the big 6'7" left shot defenseman. We've got David Como, who's another 97 defenseman that's getting his first real true taste of the league. And then Alex McQuaid we traded for, who's got over 100 games experience. So everybody has to find their way. Everybody has to find a role within the D-core. Sometimes with suspensions and injuries, you're going to ask people to probably step up and do a little bit more. So far right now, it's a position that I, as a GM, I'm constantly looking to improve, but it's a D-core that's good enough to win hockey games in this league.
Yeah, without question, as a GM, you talk about the goaltending, and obviously everybody looks good with great goaltending. Your blue line important as well. Shalapik and Brad Kennedy. Goulet as well, for the most part, have gotten off to pretty good starts here for your hockey club. Shalapik averaging more than a point a game since he returns from Ottawa in the NHL's main camp there with the Senators. As well, Brad Kennedy, for the most part, experiencing his best season in the queue. He's a veteran now, but he's a bit of a surprise, I think, offensively to be where he's at right now. Goulet, he's been in and out. He's had some really good games where he scored a brace or more, I think about 3 times so far. So he's in and out of the season so far, but he is providing offensively. Those 3 guys are your top 3 guys offensively.
Well, the most overused saying in hockey, you're only as good as your best players. Well, those are our best offensive players, and we need them to produce. And certainly Philip's experience in Ottawa was one that was an eye opener for him. Like I mentioned, David, he comes back to us. He realizes he's got a lot of work to do. Alexander Goulet at his 3rd camp. He had been to Chicago, had been to Montreal, went to New Jersey, made it to the main camp. He too is a kid that's learning as he goes, and Bradley Kennedy, for me, is not a surprise. We pushed the pedal really hard with Bradley this summer about his conditioning. That's been one of the facets to his game that he really had to step up, and now he's gotten himself in much better shape, and as a result, we're seeing the benefits now in his game. He's got wonderful hands. He's got an elite shot, and now with his conditioning improved, he's able to keep up and get him on the ice more. So those 3 guys are certainly the catalyst behind us scoring some goals this year.
Looking at new faces, a guy that you got to be pleased with as well, Sean Boudria. Another one of those players gone to the Canada Under-17 tournament in BC this week. But Boudria with a couple of goals, both power play goals, but a guy that looks like that physically he's going to be able to play in this league very, very quickly.
Yeah, he's been a really, really good underage player for us. The interesting thing about Sean is that he showed us early in training camp that he was going to be able to stick to the lineup, but he's a guy that can move up and down the lineup, which is a real testament to how good of a player he is at such a young age. You know, when we had suspensions or injuries with Daniel Sprong not here, we've experimented with him on the 4th line. We've put him into a checking role on the 1st line rather. We've put him into a checking role on the 4th line, and he's played some power play and he's been in and out. So he's it's just maturity with this kid. He's a tall, skinny kid that needs to gain weight, needs to get stronger, but that's true of all the kids, certainly as underagers. And Sean's going to be a wonderful player for us here for a long time.
You talk about underagers, Carl Gervais there as well, Matt Welsh, all of your top 3 picks in this past draft in Sherbrooke, all making your hockey club.
Yeah, it's a real testament to our scouting staff. We take a great deal of pride in how hard we work at the scouting. Every team's doing it, but we feel we've got a real good group of scouts that go out, and they know now, after this being my 3rd year, what we feel the focus is: character, hockey sense, and skill. And those 3 underagers have a combination of all 3 of those. And Carl Gervais came in here. He surprised us being able to come back from the injury that he had. He's gotten better every day, and that's what you're looking for out of these kids.
Daniel Sprong, you've talked about, just mentioned briefly here over the last 24 hours. Word out of Pittsburgh by GM Jim Rutherford that, in fact, Sprong might stay longer than anticipated. I know that personally you're happy for him because as a franchise, you want to be able to develop NHL players, in particular at 18 years of age. That helps you recruit players in the future. But at the same time, you're looking at this franchise right now. He's a huge loss not being here right now. But give us the storyline on Daniel Sprong and with Pittsburgh. What are the possibilities as we move forward here? Does he work by the 9 games, 40 games or thereabouts? What are some of the benchmarks that we're looking at here?
Well, I talk to Pittsburgh on a regular basis. Billy Guerin and Mark Recchi have been excellent communicators, explaining their process. It's not a surprise to me, and it shouldn't be to anybody that watched Daniel play. Daniel has NHL skill. I think it's a bit of a surprise to think that he's able to make the roster based on most people's thoughts. He needs a little bit more grooming in terms of his play away from the puck. But I've made this analogy for a number of people. I think when you go up to the NHL level, the big difference is between that level and junior hockey is one mistake and you try to stop it at one. In junior hockey, one turns into two, turns into three. And for Daniel, his positioning, he's working on it, his skill, we all know about that. But I venture to say it's easier for Daniel to play at the NHL level from a defensive side of it because you're almost assured the other four players on the ice are playing their position. So he's focusing on that in the open ice with the puck. Daniel's for sure an NHL player. Pittsburgh, they're going to continue to monitor him. The communication's been good. I try not to read the stories, but when people send me the links and it's on my phone, it's hard not to read. And Jim Rutherford has recently come out and said that they expect Daniel will be with the team past the 10-game mark. That's not the end of the world for us. We can get Daniel back at any point in time in the season up until January 10th, I think it is. The 40-game mark, the 10-game mark means he burns one of his 3 years of his entry-level contract. The 40-game mark means he starts his free agent clock. If you play as an 18-year-old, you can become a free agent in the NHL at the age of 25, which is a concern if they're going to be a franchise player. Really too much to be thinking about at this point. I don't have a crystal ball. Do we want Daniel back here? Yes. Does the franchise need him back here to be the team we think we're going to be? Sure, he's our best player, but we really are proud of Daniel. We're happy that he's there. We'll be extra happy if he comes back, I can tell you that.
You and a lot of fans, I would think, too, and a couple of broadcasters as well, I do believe. But when you look at the standings right now, we opened up this interview, and this will be a final question here right now. 2 games above 500 at the quarter pole, 9, as we said, 9-7-1. We've got your thoughts on how and what you think about your hockey club right now. But the process of this team improving at this point, does it have to wait till the trading deadline at Christmas time? Or what are the potential possibility moves that you might be able to make right now to make this hockey club stronger right now at this point in the season?
Well, one player in particular, Pierre-Olivier Joseph, P.O. we call him, he made it really tough on us in training camp. I was up scouting in Quebec and watched him play a couple of midget games, and he was outstanding. We brought him into play against a really tough team in Drummondville, and he played his one game, and he was outstanding. He was one of our better players on the ice, so we're experimenting with the thought of him being added to our roster, and I know it's a stretch to have another underage on the back end, but really, he's his awareness of the game, his hockey sense, his decision making. We think he's got a chance to be a really good player in this league. So maybe sooner than later. And we always have the free agent market. There's 2 other leagues in the CHL that we're always exploring. Overage trades can be made now, but for the most part, our hands are tied in terms of making trade for trade, player for player until our trade period opens, and that's really what we're saddled with in the Quebec League, the way our trade period opens. So it opens December 19th. My job as the GM and as a staff, we're constantly looking for ways to improve our hockey club. So we'll continue to do the day-to-day stuff that needs to be done, and I'll continue to do whatever I can to help improve this hockey club.
So you, in fact, can acquire free agency or free agents through the Ontario Hockey League or the Western Hockey League as they go through their league, as they're waived out of their league.
Yeah, the process is they have to clear waivers, and then they have to clear waivers to come into our league. There's a clearinghouse process. We have interest in a player. We talk to the team. We talk to the agent. If he's cleared waivers, we do a clearinghouse with our league. If he's cleared to come into our league, then we make the arrangements to deal with transfer fees and whatever arrangements have to be made to acquire the player. Because what happens is we've had it happen with our players, these major junior players, if there's no more room for them on their team and in their league, there's 90 plus tier 2 teams that are just salivating over these players. So there's a lot of battling to get these players. But yeah, I'm watching the waiver wire and all in the other 2 leagues and in our own league every day. And if there's a way to improve our hockey club through free agency, we're going to do it.
That's Islanders GM Grant Sonier. For Inside the Islanders, I'm George Matthews.